Right, this is a comment video tut. So this is in answer to a question posed by Tuber Dam. It is making a particular game. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do, but I didn't quite understand what he's after. So based on the scenario he's given me, I've built this. Now, this may not answer his question. I'm not 100% sure what he's trying to get at here. He's talking about turning trigger zones on in sequence, and then he gave me a scenario which doesn't involve turning trigger zones on and off, so I'm not really understanding it, but this is what I built in answer to his question. So I have a player here, and there are lamps around the room. I can go up to the lamps and I can turn them on and off like so. I'm pressing the triangle button and that's turning the lights on and off. There we go. So that's what those do. And I go up to this lamp and the light turns off all by itself. And now that lamp over there is doing something very weird. Leaping up and down, laughing at me. And I can no longer turn it on and off. If I go over to this lamp and I interact with it, it's now turning the lamp shade a different colour. It's doing something different. This one, on the other hand, this is remaining exactly the same as it was before. So, let's have a look and see why this all changes and why this does something different the second time round. First of all, let me just say I haven't put the trigger zones inside the lamps. I have put the trigger zone inside the player. If you do this, then whatever you put in the world that you want to have an activity for, an interaction, you don't need trigger zone for. It's inside the puppet. So I put my trigger zone just slightly forward of the puppet like that. This is his interacted trigger zone, and it's looking for a tag. It's looking for the tag called interact. Now, initially in all of the lamps, I put this microchip. I've stamped it on the lamps, and this is what I've added. I've added a tag called interact. So you name it up here, and this is linked to a text displayer, and that's linked to the power of the text displayer. And that text displayer is now displaying the text above the lamp because I've got it in scene. So when the player comes up to the tag and the tag is inside its zone of influence, then this text displayer is going to turn on. Now we want the player to be able to press triangle in order to cause an action on that interaction. So inside my puppet, I have put inside the controller logic a transmitter. It's linked to the triangle button. It could be any button you like. I've called it triangle. And again, you name it here at the top. In here is a receiver. This receiver is looking for the player standing next to our object and pressing the triangle button. This will then activate this selector. It will move down to the next output. A is nothing. B is this keyframe. That keyframe turns the light off. So when you are standing there and pressing triangle, this is going backwards and forwards, up and down like this, turning the light on and off. Okay, so that's the simple lamp. Then this lamp over here, this is the one that you interact with, or rather you go up to it and it suddenly kicks everything off. So we have an interact tag. There's no text this time because we don't need it, because it's going to automatically fill a counter. This counter is a 1-0 counter, so it will go to 1-1 when you're next to it. And this is going to change our selector to B. And so we're going to go into turning that light off, but it's also set this counter to be full. And I have linked out from the counter full to both of these lamps in the corner here. Now this is the lamp that jumps up and down. So what's happening in here, we've got the code we had before. We've got the interact, the text displayer, the selector, the keyframe, and our wireless receiver. But you'll notice there is an AND gate here, and we've got our another counter. So that counter over there in that lamp is linked to this counter. It's setting off this counter when that counter is full, making this counter full. This is looking to see if it's not full and you interact with it, then we want the text displayer, the interact tag is activated, then the text displayer will display. And it will turn on this selector. So if this counter is not on, that means we haven't interacted with that red lamp over there. And so this selector, where you turn the lamp on and off, will be working. And this text display will display. If, however, this is full now, none of this will now be turned on. So we won't get a text displayer and we won't get the option to turn it on and off. Instead, we're going to get a laugh and we're going to get an action recorder playing that's going to animate and move our lamp around. In our lamp over here, we've got something similar, except we're not needing to turn the text displayer on off because we're needing it for changing the colour of our lamp. But we've got two selectors, one for turning the light on and off and one for changing the colour of the lamp. So this counter is looking, is the counter full from over here? This counter, is this counter full? Then we'll make this counter full. If it's not full, then we're going to use a selector to turn the light on and off. And if it is full, then this is the selector. So that the power is going to this selector. And then this selector will work. Now, so obviously this system is worked on an if-or situation. So it's either on or off. This lamp is either active or... So there's only two options on this particular one. If you want to work out a more complicated system so that every button press changes it, then you could add a succession of counters. So we put another counter in so that it says, so if this counter is full, if you push this, you get this button and this counter is full, then make this counter full and that gives you another one, and then you can do another sequence and so on and so on. So you could do it like that. You could do it with a variable, so you're looking at a variable number. So this, instead of adding to a counter, maybe this is adding to a variable, and then you could check to see what the variable was at, and then all of these could change. But this is the scenario I was given, so that's what I've built. Basically, as soon as this has been activated, these two act differently than when it was not activated. So you've got two different options, and we use a counter to turn that on or off. So that's it. I hope that answers the question. I'm not sure whether this is what you want at all, but that's the scenario you gave me. So there you go. Catch you in your dreams.